That video went viral the second time I posted it.
I think in addition to you posting those makeup tutorials and
Yeah.
education, like coming through as a trusted expert in the space is also major.
When you're a creator, from the moment you wake up, you're thinking about work.
Unless you make content about it.
My God, the making content about the pre-making content about I'm going to the gym, and this is what I do on my content days.
Today on deepfeed, I chat with Karol Rodriguez, a professional makeup artist and content creator specializing in all things beauty. Karol uses their platform to share their makeup expertise, speak on mental health, and create conversations surrounding gender and sexual identity. In this episode, we discuss Karol's approach to social media strategy, content creation, brand partnerships, career growth, and much more. Let's get into it. Hi, Karol. Welcome to deepfeed.
Hi, Winter.
Yeah, so can you tell us a bit about your background and how you got into becoming a makeup artist?
Yeah. So I'm Peruvian and Dominican, born and raised in New York City, Washington Heights. I would say how I got into being a makeup artist, such a long journey. I would say it started with stealing my sister's eyeshadow palettes. Shout out Coastal Scents 88 eyeshadow palettes for like $20, not even. And I would bring it to high school and I would do like colorful smoky eyes before school because my mom wouldn't allow me. And then only had one brush and I would just like experiment. And then before I came home, I would wash it off because my mom would beat my ass. And little by little, I always just had an interest in it. I loved that with makeup you could have like one palette and have like an infinite number of experiences with it. It seemed like such a great investment in like
Yeah.
playtime. And even now I still have that same curiosity and that same like, how do I reinvent this over again? And I think that that curiosity has spanned. But I went to college for musical theater and did like voice and theater lessons. I was more of a singer than an actor. Love me an actor, but am not one at all. And I wouldn't really say my goal was like to pursue musical theater. It was more just to learn more about the voice, to really just kind of like hone in on that craft. And pretty much as soon as I graduated college, I was like, anyways, not doing this. I didn't really know what I was gonna do. I know that I'm good at a lot of things. Um, Worked a really awful corporate job for like a year and a half at an ad agency,
Oh.
doing building operations. Literally, what is happening? From that corporate job, I quit. Then I got fired. Literally, it's like the Spider-Man meme, two people just staring at
Why
each
did
other.
you get fired?
Because my boss had a really sensitive ego. And in my experience was a closeted gay man that could not stand that I was queer, openly queer. And
Mm.
also, when you came to speak at my job at Group M, we
Oh.
don't we can okay, when you came to speak at my job, it was actually you were talking about being non-binary in
Mm.
media, and I was behind like the orchestration of this event.
I did not know that.
You
That's
didn't know
crazy.
that?
No, I
Oh my
didn't.
God.
That's
No, that's
wild.
and then it was my first time. This was like kind of like within my experience of realizing that I was non-binary, where a lot of people would be like she, and I would be like, who are they talking about? Like, who are
Mhm.
you guys talking about? And I just realized like that didn't fit with me. And then when I saw you talking about it, I remember there was like a huge group of people and we were doing like a question and answer. And I asked you, I was like, what is a good way to start with introducing yourself as like a non-binary person, or like what are some actionable
Yeah.
steps? And you had mentioned, I think, like putting it at the end of your emails as
Mhm.
like a soft launch. And that was like my first time even saying that I was non-binary in front of all these people who were actually like I worked with and like knew
Wow.
me around the office and stuff. And um shortly after that, I felt very empowered, and then that caused, I think, my boss to feel threatened.
Oh,
and
wow.
there's literally
Oh my gosh,
so
this
many
is
politics,
crazy.
so many politics. And yeah, I faced like mockery in the office for having they them pronouns. It was such a bad environment, but I basically put in my 2 weeks and I got fired and escorted out of the building the day before my last day, and it was devastating.
Yeah,
I am so good at everything. Like, I give my best at everything that I do, so that was, like, a big moment in me almost, like, feeling my world crashing and then being like, "Okay, now what?"
yeah,
I was a dog walker for a day.
a day.
Exhausting. Oh my god. So exhausting. Uh,
It seems very challenging. I don't think I could do that job for
oh
sure.
my gosh. It was exhausting. I was like, "Love dogs so much. Cannot be on the subway running from, like, house to house.
Oh,
Can't do
man.
that." Um, and all signs just kept pointing back to makeup, and I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. I just knew that whenever I would be at Rite Aid and I would see people looking at, like, mascaras and trying to figure out what would be what, I would know what they would be looking for based on, like, their eyelashes or, whatever, and I would then be like, "Hey, I think this one will be good for you." Like, "Oh, yeah, well, what do you think is my color, and can you just tell me this, or what's a good eyelash glue? Do you think that'll be good?" And I just love that so much. So I knew, like, my willingness to help people and just, like, my hyperfixation on makeup for so many years was gonna go together real bad.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of how it started.
Yeah, so but what was that journey like? You had the realization, "Okay,
Mhm.
it's makeup." What then?
Yeah, so I had already I started when I was in college, I started making daily Snapchat tutorials, and it's funny that I'm talking about this now because recently, in the last couple weeks, I've started to do more, like, story tutorials, and I started to gain a following on Snapchat. I started to miss all of my fucking classes because everything would just run over, and I'd be like, "I don't really need to go to my math class. I can just make it to, like, my voice class at 12." I started to build a following. I started to build a following on Snapchat and on Twitter. On Twitter, it was a lot of me just kind of, like, finding and fostering community. A lot of me just kind of, like, imposing myself into people asking questions on the timeline and me being like, I actually don't think this will be good for you. I would recommend this."
Mhm.
Was big on drugstore, was all I could afford at the time, and I was huge on Maybelline. Loved Maybelline. I knew from a very, very early age that Maybelline was doing something right with their Fit Me line.
Mhm.
I knew that it was it was like a never before seen launch of like a 100 to like 380 or whatever the range, and I remember it being pushed out as like, "This fits everybody. There's a skin tone for everybody." And I think that started my love of complexion, my love and appreciation of makeup brands catering to deeper skin and different undertones. And I also saw how me loving a brand that also carried products for deeper skin was so advantageous because I didn't need to have the experience of deeper skin to know that this product is good, that this product is going to serve the use, whether it's like building coverage, mattifying, giving you, more moisture. And I knew that the most important thing that it was going to be available and that you were going to be able to see it at like a Target or a Rite Aid or whatever.
Yeah.
And so all this talk about Maybelline, I got a DM from them one day, and it was actually, uh, this person named Sarah Mendelson, who became my best friend, and she worked at Maybelline, and she's like, "Hey, I see you supporting the brand a lot, like, we're launching this palette. I was wondering if you wanted to come to the office and just do, like, a quick eye look on yourself, and we can just take some photos, whatever," and I was like, "Are you kidding?" Like, I didn't know what a beauty office was. Like, I think back on, like, the little Carol that was, like, 2018, 2019, and when I walked into that office, I could not understand how there could be an entire office of people working at a makeup brand that were not just, like, makeup artists.
Yeah.
It was like, majority of these people don't know anything about makeup, and they are the ones, like, brain powering all of these things. And so Sarah was like, "Why are you not a makeup artist? Like, why are you working in building operations?" And I was like, "I don't have money for a kit. Like, I don't know how I wouldn't leave even the worst job to just free ball as a makeup artist because I wouldn't know where to land. I don't have anybody. I don't know anything. I don't have any in. I don't have money for a kit. I don't even have money to get 10 shades of Maybelline Fit Me foundation."
Yeah.
And I knew that if I was gonna be a makeup artist, I wasn't gonna, like, pussyfoot the shade. I wasn't going to come in with 3 shades of light, 3 shades of medium, and 1 shade of dark and, like, make it work. I knew that I needed a full kit that I felt confident in and that I had products from lips to eyebrow pencils to bronzer to blushes that fit every single skin tone. And so maybe like a week later, Sarah had me back at the office and then she showed me this huge thing called like the Maybelline closet. And it's like a library of products. And they have these huge like panels and you have to like turn them and they just like open up and it's all like bins of just product, 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 product. And she's like, build your kit.
Oh my god, that's
And
amazing.
she just like let me she's like, "Oh, have you tried this? Oh, this is gonna be great. Grab these bronzers. Take one of every foundation shade. Take one of this. Take one of this. Take these mascaras. Have you tried this? Like, you'll love this." And this was this was happening in 2019, like summer. So this is like summer
Mhm.
before the pandemic, which also just makes it such a fruitious time. I didn't know it, but I started like setting up test shoots wherever I could. I was like going with like a little suitcase to New Jersey and just trying to get photos of my work and just trying to like get used to having a person in front of me touching their face, putting colors on different people, different things like that. And Sarah then hired me to do like some e-com work for Maybelline. And by December that year, I had done a music video with Jesse Reyes. In February, the month before COVID, I worked with Megan Thee Stallion. It's so many things were happening. And this has been just like the series, the theme of my life has been just like things happening in a way that they need to happen. And now I think I'm old enough to be like, all right, bitch, now you just gotta brace. Like you're gonna be fine. It's just gonna be one of those.
Yeah.
And when COVID happened, I saw a huge shift in brand interest. And that came from brands now really wanting to invest their money, time, and resources into people educating other people about how to use products. There was so much physicality taken away from the consumer during COVID that they needed someone like a makeup artist to really paint the picture for somebody in terms of like texture, long wearingness, undertone, what does it feel like? How does it set? How will it work with other products? And I think that's something that you can get from a makeup artist who does content, but not necessarily an influencer. And so I saw myself being valued a lot more. And I think COVID was when brands really started to understand that when consumers know what they're doing with your products, they're going to be happy with your products instead of just pushing a bunch of products out and being like innovative new technology and then people are like this is not working with any of the makeup that I have.
Right.
So like how do I use this innovative new technology with like it doesn't work with this, it's breaking up with this foundation. So seeing that has been really inspiring in terms of me knowing what my need is or what my purpose is or like what my use is for my platform because I don't want to just exist just to be like, "Hey, check out my makeup guys. Doesn't it look so good? All right, bye."
Yeah.
I want to use makeup. I want to make makeup less scary. It's been a very healing thing for me. It's been a very affirming thing for me. I've seen it be affirming to my trans community. I've seen it be affirming to straight men. I see it be affirming to older women. Like in an ideal world, I would be next to everybody while they're doing their makeup and I would teach them exactly how to get to where they want with the products that they have. Because it's really like what's between you having a bunch of makeup and you looking how you want to look is like technique.
Yeah.
And that also comes with like feeling empowered enough to even make mistakes with your makeup. Cause a lot of people are just kind of looking for like, okay, I'm gonna watch that one TikTok and that one TikTok is gonna put it all together for me. And it's like
Mhm.
that one TikTok is you doing your makeup 500 times at night and then beating the shit out of your face right before you go out and everybody being like, oh my God, how you doing that? Your skin looks so good. And you're like, yeah, all the work.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be people's like, Clippy?
Clippy?
Clippy in like that is it like Microsoft Word?
That's exactly I was like,
Clippy.
yeah,
I'm
like
trying to be
the
people's Clippy, but
paperclip.
like for makeup.
Oh, I love that.
Like, hey, do this instead of that.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm finding that I fit.
Yeah. So at what point did you decide to really commit to the content creation around this? Like
Mhm.
when you did you think about I'm going to shoot on these days, I'm going to put out this much
Oh my
content?
God.
Like how did you
No.
start that
Oh my,
process?
that will never be me. I will never I can't even nail down a font on CapCut that I like. I swear I'll literally write down like I'm like, "All right, let me make my brand kit, let me do my fonts, my this." Then the next day I'm like, "Don't like it.
Yeah.
Doesn't fit with this kind of video, doesn't fit with this kind of content." And I've nothing about my life has ever been consistent. It's something that I've beat myself up about a lot, but it's something that I also am working on giving myself a lot of grace for. I think having this as a job is really complicated. I am somebody who has experienced a lot of childhood trauma, and being so public facing when I have such a complicated relationship with my close family, my extended family. I have several members of my family that I'm no contact with, and just being such a public and visible person, even if you block all of the people in your family that, you don't want or you don't feel safe seeing your content, that doesn't mean they can't just go on Google and go Instagram.com/Carol's Corner and see all
Right.
of my things.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's a level of visibility that I've gotten to, I'm trying to be more comfortable with. And it's something that does keep me a little bit inconsistent. But I also like one of the most important things is for me to never forget that, like, I'm a human being going through this experience. I'm going through a lot of things for the first time. And like today, for example, I wanted to do like a talk through Instagram story of this makeup look. And that would have taken me typically like 2 hours if I'm really talking through everything. And this morning just turned out that my partner and I were in a big argument and we spent the next like 5, 6 hours just kind of like taking breaks, being in conflict resolution, crying, coming together, trying to work things out, making space for each other to the point where I'm getting ready for this podcast and I'm thinking like, there's one part of me that's like, be a good creator and put yourself on camera and show these people this because you haven't yesterday you went to the beach. You didn't feed the people yesterday. They're hungry.
Yeah.
The day before you didn't record a tutorial because you were burnt out from the 5 events you went to last week. There's always this feeling of like you're in quicksand and you're gonna like sink unless you're constantly trying to push yourself up. But that doesn't exist. That's not real. And that's what I'm trying to lean into instead of this like internal pressure that only makes me feel more unstable.
Yeah.
So previously I would probably just like not make any content at all. But I'm trying to find this thing called the middle ground, the gray in between I'm dating a Libra, so it's very much like the balance has to be everywhere. It's horrible, but I'm kind of getting good at it.
What's your sign?
I'm an Aquarius.
Oh, nice.
Everybody says we're like emotionless. I don't think that's true. I think we just all have trauma. But instead of just like not being front facing at all or camera facing at all, I was like, I know this makeup's gonna look good. So instead, I just like went on TikTok and I just recorded like little clips of just me not talking, but just going through the steps so that I can then repurpose it and do like a voiceover or something. So that the look itself and the products I'm using, because I often whenever I don't record looks, People are like, "Oh my god, can you just make a video doing this look?" I'm like, "Babes, this look will never happen again.
Yeah.
This look will never happen. I will never use the exact consecutive products that I used ever again. It's gone." But I can understand how that's disappointing. So
Mhm.
I try to make the kids a meal every now and then.
Yeah.
And today it looked like me not necessarily talking on Instagram stories, but just making a TikTok and that probably going in feed. And that's how I kind of kept my sanity and didn't push myself to be even more dysregulated. So, in that sense, I think I'm consistent in making space for myself and
Mhm.
like my actual real life and my real feelings, but that translates as being inconsistent in terms of content and output. But I think creators are the only people who are expected to kind of like qualify their output because it can only look like you being online
Mhm.
and your audience only sees you being online. I can be editing for 3 days straight, and because you don't see my face, I'm not online. I'm falling off.
Absolutely.
The algorithm hates me now. And it's
Yeah.
like none of the behind the scenes work counts.
Unless you make content about
Un-
it.
My God, the making content about the making content about the pre-making content about I'm
Yeah.
going to the gym and this is what I do on my content days. And this, I'm just like, how do we all, not everything has to be shared
Mhm.
in my life, but it definitely feels like everybody is owed to every aspect of my life. And that can be complicated
Yeah.
because I also like, I feel more comfortable with my followers than I do with some members of my family. Just, like, as a general, I see my followers as, like, a group of people, and I'm just like, "If y'all don't fuck with me, please unfollow me. Please block me so quick. You'll never have to see my face ever again."
Yeah.
But I feel comfortable with my followers knowing things, so when I post things and I post vulnerable things, it's more of like I'm thinking about, like, those main people, those usernames that I've seen since Snapchat days, those usernames that I've seen since Twitter, those people that have been like, "Oh my god, I remember when you were living in your mom's hoarded house and you were so depressed, and I remember all those I remember when you were in the psych ward, I remember when you came out, I remember when you moved out of your mom's house, I remember when you first started dating Jazz, I remember when you got fired from your corporate job, you hated it so much, you were having breakdowns in the bathroom." Like, I post for those people, but unfortunately, it's almost like you see your haters on, like, the wings.
Yeah, for sure.
So that can kinda keep me a little more reserved as well. I think it's just, like, so much nuance in terms of being consistent because it's nobody's consistent at something that they do every day. It almost sounds, like, contradictory, but let's say, like, my partner has a 9 to 5. They don't their output is not the same on a Monday as it is on a Tuesday. It's not the same on a Tuesday as it is on a Friday, but every day you're showing up for work.
Mhm.
When you're a creator, from the moment you wake up, you're thinking about work, but it's not really seen as showing up unless you post. It's not even seen as showing up, I think, if you're just doing community and replying to comments in your DMs. Like, all these behind the scenes things, I think, should go into, like I think it should be, like, introduced into, like, engagement, analytics. Like, I think we should introduce sentiment and connectedness within your audience as a marker of success.
Yeah, definitely. I
Um,
love that. So you're kind of posting when you have time, when you feel like it.
yeah,
Like you don't hold yourself to some kind of like strict
I
schedule.
can't.
Yeah.
I can't, like, especially being a working makeup artist, like, I can have a job that's 12 hours tomorrow. You are not gonna hear from me tomorrow. Like, when I'm on set, I'm on set.
Mhm.
And I think that's also complicated because I feel like I'm cheating on my one job when I'm doing the other job, although I know that they both work together.
That's interesting.
I'm not like the content girlies love the makeup tips, but I love being on set.
Yeah.
If I could choose to be on set, I would be on set like 90% of the time and make content 10% of the time.
Yeah. How do you think making content has impacted your makeup career?
It has been a huge asset to my makeup career. I I find that for new clients, the more that they can find about who they're about to let into their house, do their makeup for their wedding, do their makeup for a talk, do their makeup for, like whatever being on camera, being performing, people seeing us, and I find this especially with people of color, my clients are majority people of color. When you when there's a makeup artist whose work you like, and then you also are able to go on their feed and see something as early as today on their story, I think it brings a sense of safety and confidence. I know that it feels the same way to me if I'm working with a model or a photographer the next day or whoever. If they're active on their socials, it makes me feel more assured. It makes me feel uh like this person doesn't really have anything to hide. And it makes me
Yeah.
feel like I already kind of know them. So I think that's been a big plus in terms of acquiring new clients. It's also really good, I think, for me that clients know that I'll be good at supporting social content for them
Yeah.
and that they'll know that they don't have to ask. And that by the end of anything I do, I will airdrop you all of these BTS videos because I want them too. And I know your best angle
Yeah,
and
that's
I
a
know
huge
how you'll feel
asset.
good.
Yeah.
And so, like, just 2 days ago, I posted this reel that I made about an Ulta Beauty campaign that I did makeup for. And that's with this artist named Koval. And Koval made, her own video. But how could it not be an asset if the makeup artist doing the makeup for your makeup campaign is also making their own video journey experience? And I don't know, I would love that. But if
Definitely.
if I like as a makeup artist, let's say if I had like a nail tech or something, I would love if a nail tech made a video of my nail transformation. I think it also feels very special for a person to want to take time out of their day and out of what you've contracted them to do, which is do your makeup. Now the person is like editing a reel, I'm taking, a time lapse of me doing your makeup and finding like funny moments or cute moments. That also helps build their brand. That also helps up their sentiment, makes them feel like their community is more connected to them. And I find that that's a big asset, especially with like my older clients who are more like conservative and don't really show a lot of their lives. It's been really helpful to have a makeup artist who not only posts a lot, but also I've been able to help teams of clients be like, hey, there's this thing on TikTok that I was thinking about that would be so good. Like, would you want to do this? Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge asset. So do people, whether potential clients or other
Hmm.
agencies, like, do you find yourself getting hit up because of your content
All the time.
mainly?
I would say, yeah. I would say mainly my content. I think there's something really I think there's something really interesting about seeing somebody's work on their own page. I think it shows like a level of confidence of the artist. I also think, everybody knows a before and after picture is good, but also seeing the process, seeing the care that I put into my clients, seeing how I cater every application for the person's skin, the person's where they're going, what their needs are. Like I take care of my clients like they're my family. And I think it's so important to take that responsibility really seriously when you are working on somebody's face.
Yeah, actually, I just saw your reel about, like, basically hygiene
Mm.
and
Oh my
red
gosh.
flags
Oh
to
my god,
avoid.
winter. Oh my god.
And
Yeah.
that's a big one for me. Like, when we do, like, bigger campaigns and we have makeup artists, like, I want to know that it's a sanitary station and, like,
Yes.
I think in addition to you posting those makeup tutorials and
Yeah.
education, like, coming through as a trusted expert in the space is also major.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that video because that video went viral the second time I posted it. The first time I posted it, crickets, and I was like, "Ugh, this is such a good video. Fuck y'all." And then I reposted it. I was actually part of this like BuzzFeed and Meta like creator program for a couple months. And throughout the program, each week you had to repost one of your own videos.
Repost.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you could either rework it, you could, chop it up, you could repost it on its own, rewriting the caption. And I was like, you know what? This was a banger. People slept on this. And so I reposted it and then I saw like that immediate trickle of like that person sharing it here. And then it's like every the web just gets like bigger. And that video went viral, caused so much drama in the comments. I'm like, if y'all are dirty, y'all could just say that.
What
If
kind of
y'all
drama? Like, what
Oh
were
my
people
god, the
saying?
drama from celebrity and whoever the fuck makeup artists being like, "This is ridiculous, like, it's never this serious." I'm like, if you're giving your clients styes and, uh, what is it called? If you're giving your clients dermatitis, that's on you, babes. Nothing that I'm saying is brand new information, and I did not make that post for makeup artists. I made that post for people who hire makeup artists who do not know any better. People that make posts about nail salons, not supposed to use like the same like wax stick twice. I didn't know that. Now I know. Like it's the more you know kind of
Yeah.
information. But it caused a lot of controversy. A lot of people were talking about, like, but this is such a waste. And I'm just like, you wouldn't say that at a hospital when they are sterilizing things and throwing away what plastic and whatever. Like, I understand, disposables are not the best thing, but it's also like it is your responsibility to care for the health and sanitation of your clients. You don't know if your clients are immunosuppressed. You don't know if your clients have communicable diseases. You don't know if your clients have very sensitive skin and break out. You don't know if your clients have eczema. You don't know if your clients are going through chemotherapy and would not be able to fight off an infection. Like, and people might say like that's really but it is serious. Like, you are introducing so many potentials to your client, and to introduce them to that while they're paying you for you
Yeah.
to literally paint their face is the most disrespectful thing you can do to your clients.
I agree with
And
that.
and I got tired of being on sets, being on campaigns and seeing lead makeup artists dipping into concealer wands, putting it on their models. I got tired of models telling me how badly they've broken out after fashion week and other things because it's during these high pressure times that sanitation is thrown out of the window. And then models who rely on their skin looking certain ways, especially like beauty models. You you can you can stop getting booked if you show up one day on set and your skin is broken out and you didn't look like that in your digitals last week. It doesn't that could have not been your fault and you still pay the price for that. So like it's just important to feed the ecosystem
Yeah, for sure.
and to be respectful and to keep it going all the way around. And so many models have messaged me and been like, "Oh, I've experienced all of these." And now I'm just thinking like, "Okay, what do we need to do to standardize these sanitary practices on set?" I see so many, and this opens up the bigger conversation of like OG makeup artists and like younger makeup artists. Where you have OG makeup artists who were doing, fashion weeks in the 90s, early 2000s, and you could put a lip gloss on one girl, put it on the next one, put it on the next one, put it on the next one.
Yeah. That's terrifying to me.
It is so scary. It
Yeah.
is so scary. And, like, that can't be happening anymore. Like, we need to treat models like who they are, which is human beings that are doing a job and deserve privacy, deserve safety, deserve comfort, deserve like, you'd be surprised how many times on a set I am the model's right hand. I'm carrying their water bottles. I'm putting their, like, rings and necklaces in my pocket. I'm making sure that they're getting fans if they're sweating on set and nobody's checking in on them. I'm grabbing them water. I'm making sure that they eat if they're in between changes or wardrobe or whatever. Like, there just needs a lot better needs to be done. But
Yeah.
I'm doing what I can do in the makeup space, and I'm happy to have received a lot of comments that were like, "Thank you so much for saying this. I just hired a makeup artist and I saw on one of her videos that she was using a mascara wand straight from the wand." And I'm like, "There you
Yeah,
go."
there you go. Well, yeah, I really think that's really smart to have that type of content in the mix. I'm curious where you get your ideas for content, whether it's tutorials or more like opinion based.
The more opinion-based ones are kind of new to me. I also recently just put up a video talking about how even cis people experience gender euphoria and dysphoria.
I saw that, love it.
And this was like a thought that I had, and I have so many of these thoughts. I don't often post them because it's so hard to be online and have people try their hardest to misunderstand you. But what I'm realizing is like if I get an idea that I feel really passionate about, instead of thinking about how many feathers this is going to ruffle, I want to I'm trying to kind of like re-own my platform because once I started making money off of my platform, it didn't feel like mine anymore. It felt like a stage where everything I had to put out had to be like to impress the judges. The judges being like audiences, brands, marketing people that follow me, founders and CEOs and DPs and huge filmmakers and da 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 da. Like all these people that you kind of just like learn along the way. I'm just like, ooh, what is this gonna cause? But it's been really nice to share more of my opinions. That's something that I want to do more often. I would say a huge, huge part of my content strategy is my partner, Jasmine. They are a social media community manager at K18 Hair, and they've been in the social media space for like 6 or 7 years. They have a background in like media and film studies. I have a background in singing. I'm like singing musical theater, singing opera, whatever. My partner is amazing, amazing at getting to like the seed of all of the ideas that I have, finding the main vein between all of them and helping me understand how I can hit a bullseye in terms of my intention. There's a lot of times where let's say I might reply to a TikTok or I might make a video about something where I see somebody doing something that's, whatever. And I'll film it and I'll show Jazz, like, what do you think about this? How does this land to you? And Jazz would be like, I get what you're saying, but I think it would be, but I think if you like talk about it from an educational standpoint, like what to do instead of like, this is not what you should do.
Yeah.
Like those slight angle changes have been super pivotal for me. And they've also helped me like clear out what is worth filming, editing, uh, caption, editing the captions, like font, everything. I found that as a creator, it's important to be efficient and to know like what you're there for because you're not getting a return on most of the things that you put out in terms of like financially. You're not going to get you're not everything, majority of what you see, I'm just making for free. And so I want to make sure that the things that I'm making for free are working for me. And so I've been able to have a lot of meetings with my partner and be like, "Okay, what does it look like for me to do this? What kind of moments are coming up? How can I tap into this?" Sometimes it actually happens. A lot of the times I'll get like jobs or things will happen in the family or whatever, and it doesn't work out exactly the way it is. But I think getting that input has been so helpful because I know that I have so much to offer. But sometimes that can also be a little too broad.
Mhm.
And so jazz has really helped me streamline everything. And it's really nice to have a partner that has witnessed my makeup education in person, whether it's like clients coming to the house for like a makeup class or me on set or, on Drew Barrymore or whatever, like just like having people having these like breakthroughs and me explaining things to them in a certain way. Jazz helped me realize like that is your strong suit. That is your secret formula. Jazz is like what I hear from people all the time is that the way that you explain things works for them in a way that they haven't been explained this before. And specifically when it comes to makeup, I'm able to translate that language to whoever I'm talking to based on whatever goal they have. So that was a nice breakthrough to kind of like realize. And now I try to look at everything with an educational lens. I'm not going to make a video of like 25 different lip gloss shades and just show you all the shades. For me, that doesn't serve a purpose. It doesn't feel like I'm tapping into my expertise. I want to offer my audience something that they can't get, which is like, yes, here are new products, but also here are some things you might run into.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's definitely different than
Yeah.
what you see often.
Yeah.
Are there any, like, other brands or creators that you also look to for inspiration?
No.
Nice.
I I've honestly looked at a lot of creators and I find that I compare myself way too much. I find that it can be a really easy kind of black hole to fall into where you see other creators being very successful and maybe getting brand partnerships that you wish you were part of and you're like, "Okay, but how do I do that? What are they doing? Okay, are they making videos as soon as they wake up? Okay, like, how are they do?" I think there are definitely small things that I love in different creators. For example, there's a creator named Gloria, and she's a super deep-skinned black woman who made like the infamous Euphoria video. Something I love about her is that all her feed has a consistent, like, white, bold font.
Mhm.
So when you go down her feed, you can know, like, okay, this is where she's talking about this, click. What I took from that was like, ooh, if somebody's looking at my feed, they won't necessarily know what they're looking at until they click on the video. And if they're looking for something and the video is not that, that might make them think that what they're looking for is not present on my profile. So I was like, what if I find like a little title for everything? Did that for one video, and then the next one I was like, I don't think I need it for this anymore. I was like, I don't think that's my jam.
Yeah,
And that's happened 25,000 times. And what I realized is that I can never stick to anything that is not authentically me. It's never going to last.
definitely.
It's never going to last. Even the way that I make content, even the way that I film, like there are some people who are incredible at doing these like stunning makeup tutorials where they're just looking at the perfect way and they're just swiping. And the next step, it's like a perfect eyeshadowing. And the next step, it's like a perfect blush. And the next step, it's like a perfect lip gloss. And then they look at the camera and then it's like stun. That is so like tried it, hate it.
Why do you
Does
hate it?
because it feels inauthentic. Because I'm a goofy ass bitch. Like I am not a I'm not this anywhere. I'm not this on set. I'm not this with my friends. I'm not this with my clients. It's beautiful to look at, but it also I think I judge my things on like I judge my things, my content on like, am I gonna want to replicate this? And if I'm not, kind of a waste of my time. So things that I wanna replicate, more educational things, even if they don't go viral, even if they don't do huge numbers, I know this is something I want in the archive of, like, my content library. Whether people find this out now or whether people are looking up, makeup for dry skin this December. It'll come up, and I'm happy that it's available for whoever's gonna need it. And that's what I wanna build, like, almost like a library of, like, a Wikipedia of how-tos that
Yeah,
people can look to.
I love that. There's a part of your bio that says, I quote, "They are passionate about telling their story through impactful and relatable content creation." How do you how do you work to make your content relatable? Like, what does that mean to you?
I think anytime my content or whenever I'm trying to make my content feel relatable, or whenever that is my goal, which it's never been my goal to be relatable. It's just always been my goal to not be superficial. I don't know if it's about being born and raised in New York. I don't know if it's about being raised in deep poverty with a single mother. I don't know if it's about my upbringing and how a lot of the times my community on Twitter was a lot more supportive than, the real people in my life. I've always found I've always found a deep disgust in, like, superficiality. I I don't think it's authentic, I don't think it's real. I think it's really important to, yes, do your makeup, yes, love a lip gloss, yes, love an eyeliner, but also, like, we're not just our jobs, and when your community's been there for you through really, really hard times, like, there was a time on Twitter where my mom had, like, threatened to call the cops, and she was like, "You need to move out in a month and by this day." It was, like, middle of COVID, I had no money. I was like, "How am I gonna do this?" And I looked to my Twitter community, and I was like, "I really need help getting out of this dangerous situation." And donations poured in,
Wow.
and that was how I was able to, like, move to my first apartment with 5 roommates. And I've seen how much I appreciate other people being vulnerable, and I would never want to deny somebody else that experience through me, especially other people that wanna be creators, other people that wanna be makeup artists, like, I'll always, be that makeup girly, but, like, I'm also somebody who's been in therapy since I was 8. Therapy twice a week, couples therapy with my partner since before we got engaged, therapy on my own, like, mental illness, chronic pain, uh, recently even talked about, like, my journey of loving cannabis as somebody who grew up in a drug-infested neighborhood with an immigrant mother who fear-mongered the fuck out of everything in my life. Like, I'm 28 now, and I feel like my life started, like, the day I moved out of my mom's house, and I'm still trying to get my bearings, learn to regulate my nervous system, learn to communicate effectively. I'm in such a huge and this is, like, my content, my makeup work doesn't it's not even a grain of rice in, like, the deep, deep trauma work that I'm doing. I need to tend to that first, and everything else comes after that, and that's something that I want my audience to also understand and value as, like, I'm my priority. If
Yeah.
I'm losing my mind, y'all are not gonna do not expect any makeup anything. If I'm not here for 2 weeks, no, I'm taking care of myself, and it's nice to not have the expectation from my audience to be a huge TikTok creator that posts 4 times a day. And it's nice to not have the pressure of being a TikTok creator who is, like, in constant burnout. Um, and it also creates healthy boundaries. You need to have healthy boundaries with your audience. Your audience cannot think that they are entitled to every part of your life. Like,
Yeah.
once you give them that permission, it is really hard to take it back. And I've seen so many creators who open up every aspect of their lives and talk about everything to their audience. And yes, that's a way to gain that kind of like connection with your audience, but also your audience almost becomes like your judges. Where now you've shared all this. Now they think that they're entitled to tell you if they think you're not doing your life right.
Right. Yeah. Is there anything when you are creating content, in terms of format that you have found works really well for you?
That's a good question. I will say I've tried a lot of different video formats. I've found that, there's so many. The thing that's the thing that's hard is that there's so many people. By people I mean like algorithms and platforms. So many people that you want to please. Trying to serve all these algorithms is like hosting 5 completely different groups of people at a party. It's like this person you have to talk to them this way. This person is vegan. This person, whatever. This person can't sit for a long time. And this person can't have music too loud. And this person only likes music too loud. And like it's hard to try to be all of those things at once. I found that it's not really the format that matters as much as honestly like the timing,
Mm.
knowing that YouTube is 60 seconds max.
Mhm.
Knowing that knowing that an Instagram reel is 90 seconds max. Knowing that TikTok is now up to 10 minutes, but now they want you to make things uh things that are more than 1 minute. And then there's stories. And then there's TikTok stories. And then there's YouTube videos. And then there's YouTube shorts. I think for me, the format that works the best is whatever can be repurposed the most amount of times.
Yeah, for sure.
So like today when I was recording, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do a bunch of stories today, but I am gonna make a TikTok and I'm gonna put just the 60-second option because I know that if I do the 90-second option, I'm gonna have to edit again to cut it to 60 seconds to put it on YouTube Shorts. So I don't necessarily like to stick to one type of content. I see how that works for a lot of people. There's this creator on YouTube that I follow. Her name is Monica. I think her last name is Ravi Chandran, and she's a South Asian girly pop. And basically, her whole thing is like different looks and different trends on brown skin. Is this brown girl approved? Is this brown like? And that is so her brand. And I see the formulaicness of her content. I know what to expect. I know that I'm gonna get something that's pretty quick. I know that I'm gonna get her opinion on it, and I know we're gonna move forward. Definitely what can be repurposed. There are a lot of creators that have editors and have a team and have management and, all these other things. I have a manager. I hired an editing, like an outsourcing editing thing for like 2 months. It was like $800 a month, very pricey. I'm currently working with an editor. Um, it's it's definitely about trying to be as efficient as possible. As someone with 2 dogs, a partner, a life, trauma, pain, mental health, like, I only have so many hours in a day. Like, you'll see these millionaires be like, "Everybody got the same 24 hours." Babes, I don't. I'm tired. If I
Mhm.
get back from set, I'm not gonna go on live and do a makeup look. I'm just not. I'm gonna
Yeah.
put ice on my ankles,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna lay on the couch, and I'm gonna drag myself to take a shower because it's the most I can accomplish. So when I'm thinking about content and even just thinking about how there is no I don't think that there are enough, programs or services to help creators publish their content in a way that's not going into every single app and uploading it 5 different times. So, yeah, so when I think about content, it's like, how can I get the maximum output for the least amount of publishing work? For me, the hard part is not recording. That is the easiest part ever. I can sit in front of my camera and make 20 videos in one day.
Oh, wow.
To edit them, to pre-plan them, to create a schedule, to post them, to repurpose them, to make sure any embedded captions that I have are going to fit under the TikTok logo, above the Instagram
Yeah.
caption. YouTube Shorts is different. You're gonna like if you're using a song, do you use a trending song on TikTok? Or do you not use a trending song on TikTok? Because if you use a trending song on TikTok and you put it on YouTube Shorts, your thing might be, taken down. Like TikTok, if you're on live, play as many copyrighted songs as you want. Instagram, you're on live, you play copyrighted song at volume 2 and they end your live.
Mhm.
There are so many different rules with all of these playgrounds and I understand that they are all individually trying to do their best, but I think the creators are kind of left out of it because everybody wants us to use their platform, but I don't think that platforms want to create opportunity for it to be easier for you to use their platform in conjunction with other
Oh,
platforms.
no. They don't care at all.
And I think that is the biggest disservice that platforms are making because when you don't even give people an option to do something in a way that they don't have all these roadblocks, they are never going.
Mhm.
If I was a brand new platform, I would make sure or I would try, okay, if you have this video, I want you to upload to TikTok, I want you to upload to YouTube, and I want it to go to my platform. I would never make the barrier to entry of my platform different and harder than all the other platforms. It just doesn't make sense to me. It makes it harder. There are a lot of times where I'll post on TikTok and Instagram and I forget about YouTube Shorts
Mhm.
because it is a harder upload. Like, it's not even like a choose from your library kind of thing where it is there's just different set of rules for everything, and sometimes I'm like, I don't care enough.
Yeah. Even like you said before, choosing the music is actually so time
It is
consuming.
I went through an entire era where I was like, "Do I get a subscription to a royalty-free music whatever?" And then it's like, then you have to think, "Okay, is everything gonna sound like an ad then?"
Mhm.
Because ad is like, "Jibidoo, doo-doo-doo." It's not like fucking Sabrina Carpenter, "Please, please, please." It's like but then if you do that and you embed it, then you can just copy and paste it onto all your platforms. But then TikTok is like, "Use these trending sounds," and then Instagram's like, "The sound is trending, you wanna use this one?"
Yeah, they all want you to use the native audio within the platform, so it
And then you
definitely.
want it to download without the audio, so then now on TikTok, I have to find the same audio, scroll to the same place it was, and then that won't perform well because I haven't used the newest trending audio. Like, it's just a lot of and I think there's so many you're such a puppet when you're a creator, and you're just trying to find, like, wherever the running water's at, and you're like, "Okay, I'll try over here. Okay, I'll try over there." And I think what I've learned in being a creator I consider myself a creator for, like, over a decade because when I was on Snapchat, I whenever I find myself at whenever I find myself what is it called? A
Crossroads?
crossroad. Whenever I find myself at a crossroad and thinking about, like, who am I? What kind of creator am I? What am I doing? Where am I going? I always think of it as Like, when I wasn't making money from this, what was that experience like? Recording it and existing, and how do I come back to that experience now? So I'm finding that a lot of my journey currently is about feeling comfortable in my space. I never had a studio separate from my bedroom. My bedroom was always my studio, so you could always see like my bed, and my makeup was always in my bedroom. And now that my makeup is in my studio and my bedroom is separate, it's been this huge thing of like, how do I make my studio not feel like I'm going in to like record and be this person? Like, how do I? It wasn't up until like a month ago that I was like, makeup needs to start feeling fun for me again. It can't feel like every time I sit down, if I put an eyeliner to my eye, I need to feel guilty about not recording it.
Yeah.
And what would happen was, like, I had so much PR that was building up because I was like, "Oh, people are gonna need to know about this, and they're gonna need to know about this." And whenever I would be in my studio and be like, "I just wanna do my makeup today, and I don't wanna be public facing," I wouldn't let myself use all the new stuff, because then I'd be like, "Well, if I don't record it now, then how are people gonna know about this product?" And so in trying to figure out, like, how to come back to the joy that I had, it led me to think about, like, what gave me that joy in the first place. Before I would go to work, I would wake up at like 5:30 in the morning and do my makeup for an hour and a half. And people used to be like, "Oh my god, how do you not drink coffee?" Or like, it just wakes me up. Like, just doing my makeup wakes me up. Doing my makeup makes me feel good. It makes me feel ready for the day. And I realized that, and this has been, things that I've unpacked with my therapist. Shout out Kyla. Um, Before, doing my makeup was an escape from the severely hoarded home that I grew up in. It was a way to hyperfixate, drown everything else out, and make peace with the fact that the only place that I could and make peace with the fact that the only place that I could sit other than in my bedroom out of my entire house was my toilet. There was no seating space
Mhm.
anywhere. There was no seating in the kitchen. There was no seating in the living room. There was no, and so it was just me in my room in between work in the mornings, just makeup, 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 makeup. And I think that is what gave me, that was like the only joy that I felt like I could squeeze at my out of my life at that point was feeling good about my makeup and sharing it with others, and others feeling good about it too.
Yeah. Well, kind of on that note, you've worked for major brands like Fenty and
Mhm.
Maybelline and Anastasia, and I'm curious how those opportunities came along for you.
Something that I didn't expect as a creator is for there to be just small groups of people behind major brands. And a team like Fenty, their social media team or influencer team, you're not looking at 50 people. You might not even be looking at 5 people.
Yeah. That's so shocking to me
It
how
is
small these teams are. It's wild.
it is insanity. I've also been I've also been on the side where my partner being on the corporate side of a brand, and how much pressure that can be to be one of only a few people carrying this brand on your back, especially when you're on social. Like, when you're on social, you're basically being graded a similar way to a creator by how successful you can make the brand on social media. And that's a lot of stress, especially when you're not working with 20 people. It's like three marketing girlies,
Yeah.
like three people just trying their best with lives and all these other things. So I've found that my favorite collaborations have come from knowing the people behind brands and them seeing something in me. And I think that has been really, I think it's definitely a give or take type of thing where, let's say you have somebody that works at one brand and they move to another one, and they know, like, you've already worked together. Maybe before they leave this on your DM, "Hey, I'm leaving this brand. It's been amazing to work with you. I'm definitely going to hit you up first week at my new job."
Yeah.
That happens often. A lot of these beauty brands have really high turnover rates.
Mhm.
A lot of them are really shitty environments. And there's a lot of musical chairs that happens, especially within bigger brands like, let's say, L'Oreal, a million brands. Once you're in the L'Oreal system, you can I've seen so many people in the industry stay in one, like, overseeing company and just kind of move. And it's come from people I think the reason why the same people, even after they move job to job, still reach out to me is because they know that I'm really timely. I'm an over communicator. I don't need a lot of direction. They know they're gonna get great content. They know they're not gonna have to explain what good lighting is or explain how to get good shots of application.
Yeah.
And I think that also is strengthened by my on-set work, where when you're working with these big brands like Maybelline and you're applying a highlighter, for example, you're not gonna apply the highlighter going down, even if that's your tendency as a makeup artist. You're gonna apply it going up and you're gonna tell the model, while I go up, I want you to turn your head to the left. So we swear and then you go up and we go like this, and then it catches the light, and then we have that moment.
Mhm.
That feeds it's almost like a snake that's eating itself, where it's like things that look good on set are gonna look good on camera in your own house. Shots that you're gonna wanna get on set if you're doing a mascara application, they're not gonna be coming straight on, they're gonna be coming a little bit from the bottom. So just like these little things that brands don't have to explain to me, and all of that coupled with my excellent communication, my timeliness, my organization in terms of like I tell you I'm gonna deliver it on this day, you'll probably get it the day before or the morning of or whatever.
Yeah.
I think I'm just I think I'm an easy person to hire. I really require such little conversation. I know what needs to be done. Uh, and people like working with people that are easy.
I'm curious, what are some examples of specific kind of gigs you're being hired for? Like, is it UGC? Is
Mm.
it part of larger campaigns? Like, what are some examples that of work you've done, like, in the past year or 2?
So it's been a lot. Let me think. Typically, I would say now brands are hiring me for new launches. New new launches also there's a big emphasis on skincare. I also emphasize skincare a lot. And I think brands are understanding that things like skincare are directly related to makeup and that you need to also skincare is not just for people that want beautiful skin on its own. Skincare is also for people that want beautiful looking makeup. And skincare is such a huge part of what your makeup looks like that a lot of skincare brands have come to me and honestly organically really like I worked with this artist Stromae and I did his makeup for Tiny Desk. And the comments were full of people being like, "Oh my god, how old is this man? His skin looks amazing. Oh my god, like he has not aged." I think he's like in his maybe in his like late 30s, early 40s. I'm like, one, he's not old. Secondly, he's a black man, so he's always gonna look good. Thirdly, it's the skin prep. Like this is a man that's on stage doing 3, 4 interviews a day. He's exhausted. He's not American. He probably doesn't even want to be here. Like, so I showed a video of me doing like a time lapse of me doing his makeup and what I prepped his skin with. And one, it was amazing for people to think that he didn't have anything on, which is the ultimate goal, especially when
Yeah,
it comes to male
definitely.
grooming, is to make their skin just look skin like, even, healthy, hydrated. Uh and in the skin prep, I used um product called Caudalie Vino Perfect Serum, which is like I could drink that shit for milk, like, as milk, in my cereal, in my smoothies, in my matcha, like, Codalivino Perfect Serum is one of those serums that I will always love. I love using as prep. It absorbs beautifully into the skin. It's great on all skin types. I use it on him all the days that I had him. It's really nice and plumping for the skin. It's good when your skin is tired. And so I think I had just like randomly mentioned that product. And then someone from the brand was like, "Hey, we saw that you mentioned this product. Would you want to like we're launching a gift set at like Sephora or something where we're putting this product and something else. Can you talk about how this product led to this looking so good?" And so that was a it was like a supporting document for their like Sephora sale, I think.
Right.
Other brands will be like, for example, Freck Cheek Slime. They reformulated their gel cream blushes and they emailed me. And it's always such an honor when brands email me and they tell me, "Hey, we have this thing coming down the pipeline." It is such an honor to be able to like troubleshoot. And so they were like, "Hey, we'd really like for you to make a video about how to best use this. We've reformulated it. It's more blendable now. It's more pigmented. We have two different shades. We have, whatever. We reformulated it to be more blendable, more this." And I already knew what they were talking about because the original formula was a little hard to work with. So having had the experience of making another video recently about the milk makeup jelly tints, which as soon as I swiped on, I was like, "Oh, I can already see people complaining about how this product sucks."
Mhm.
So because I could already see people complaining about how much this product sucks, I was like, I almost felt what I try to do is I try to predict what issues a consumer is going to have. And I want to solve that issue before you get the product and then you hate it and then you return it.
Yeah, that's
One,
good.
because the brand doesn't deserve it, because the difference between a great product and a product that you think sucks is just if you know how to use it or not. And two, it's just a waste of your time and money if you're returning things. Also, as somebody who worked at Sephora for a couple months, I got to see the habits of how people shop. And a lot of it is with their eyes and not really with their brain. It's a lot of like, "Oh, this is gonna make me look like this. Great." But because they don't have the experience of like different textures and different layers and like most people wouldn't know, let's say if you're trying to build a lot of coverage, then maybe the jelly skin tint is not for you because
Mhm.
it's water based and it's going to take off any coverage that you have on unless you use it in this way. So because of that, I was like, okay, this product is new. This product is different. Going back to the Freck Cheek Slime. And I'm going to test out 3 different ways that you can apply this. Let's say if you want to apply it over powder. If you're somebody who's very oily and you're just used to putting powder, like here's how it can work for you if you use a lot of powder. Here's how it can work for you if you are new to blush and you don't even, you're scared of wearing powder blush because you have the idea that you're going to be pink. So with that, I, like received the product, tested like 5 different parts of my face with different applications, looked at the formula, looked at how it went together. And instead of focusing on this product doesn't work well when it does this, it's how to make it work, how to get you to the effect that this product is offering you while not changing up your entire routine. Um, so it's a lot of different ways that things come up. I recently started to do consulting, which has been so fun.
Yeah.
Like if getting told about something that's coming down the pipeline is exciting, if there's anything better than getting an email about something that's launching, it's like, "Hey, we want you to come into the office and like tell us what you think about this and we want to get your opinion on this before this goes to market." Oh my God. Like, please talk dirty to me. Like, oh my God. Please let me touch it. Please let me know what it's like. And please let me tell you all the reasons why people are going to hate this. Please
Yeah.
let me tell you all the reasons why people are going to complain about this. The applicator is going to be an issue. The product is going to dry on the applicator and they're going to, whatever. This is going to be an issue because this is meant to be used with a tiny drop and this nozzle is way too big and people don't have self control. This is gonna need to be formulated for this because this name of this shade is going to give Black people the idea that it's not for them because it's like, "I see you're cool," or whatever, and I was like,
Mhm.
Black people gravitate towards bronzy, warm, glow, like, I'm thinking about things that I see, like, let's say Fenty Beauty, the verbiage that they use versus another brand. Like, these are not even just, like, the wording of things is really important to the consumer. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
Well, I'm curious if you're willing to share, like, when a brand comes to you for a new product launch and they ask you to create a piece of content, like,
Mhm.
what are those exact deliverables? Is it one video? Is it multiple with stories? And how much are they typically offering or how much are you
Mhm.
charging?
So, I would say typically it would go I would say typically it's an in-feed post, Instagram, sometimes it's Instagram and TikTok. Um, it hasn't been stories often. Stories are typically more for, like, in the moment things. So, like, if a brand wants me to cover, like, an event, they'll want me to post, like, 2 to 3 stories, and it's for them to use as their own social, like, just to have somebody on the field that's covering this. So, I don't find stories to be super popular. Um, and then in terms of rates are such they're so all over the place. Um, I understanding that brands are not just limitless money piles. I I would also say I'm easy to work with in terms of rates because I don't see I don't see a brand coming to me and maybe paying me less than I expected. I don't see it as a bad thing if it's, like, my first time working with the brand, if it's a brand that I wanna create a longer term relationship with, like, I don't see it I see the longevity in this, and I understand that sometimes you may not get as much as you want for the work that you're creating. Historically, I would say rates for content, like, I've gotten paid as little as, like, $500 for a post. I've gotten paid as much as $25,000 for 2 posts,
Nice.
and that it's it is nice, but then it's like, that budget may never be that budget again
Yeah, absolutely.
because influencer budgets change, needs change. Now, a lot of brands are trying to reconfigure, how do we measure creator success? Is it just with engagement and analytics and comments and likes? Or do we measure it as like, hey, this person is consistently posting on their story that they love our brand, even if they're not getting as many comments as we would like for them to get, or even if their piece of content isn't going viral, we know that this person is a steady supporter of the brand and they will continue to almost like almost like spoon feed their audience different things about the brand, uh, which is for me the most important part. It is about the relationships that you have with the brand and the people behind the brand. And I think they can see when creators are in it for the quick bag. For me, longevity with a brand looks like us acquainting with one another, and then you guys just organically thinking about ways that I can be helpful. Whether it's going to a brand event and showing, let's say you launch a sunscreen and I can do touch ups on people with makeup on and show them how to reapply their sunscreen. Like, I don't feel rushed to make copious amounts of money. I feel rushed to make as much money as I need to survive. And anything past that is just nice.
Yeah, if we were to think about your kind of your income stream as a pie chart, and
Mhm.
because you are this hybrid, like you are a makeup
Yeah.
artist and you are a creator
Mhm.
and you're doing brand deals as well as and you're doing makeup,
Yeah.
artistry gigs, like what is that revenue distribution? What does that look like?
When I tell you, my pie chart would look like a wheel that's spinning all the time and all the things are changing. It's There was a time where I didn't make content for 2 months because I was working so much. And let's say an on-set rate as a makeup artist, let's say it's $800, $1,000, whatever. I and then there are some times where I'm not taking on any makeup jobs, which was happening, I think, early last year. I had a long-term partnership with Revlon. I had a long-term partnership with Ulta. I had a long-term partnership with About Face Beauty. So I was contracted to make like 4 or 5 videos a month or something like that. And when I would get makeup asks, I'd be like, "Hey, I'm not taking on any personal clients at the moment." And then in the future, I'd be like, "Hey, I am taking on personal clients." So it really depends on where my energy is. At that time, I was really like building up my studio, trying to figure out like I don't know, I also look at things in the long term. If I have a makeup client and they want me tomorrow and they're paying me less than like a typical rate, I would rather stay home and learn more about my camera and my audio so that I can feel confident about the YouTube video that I'm gonna make.
Yeah.
That is a better use of my time because I know that the investment is going to be more than however much I make off of this client today. And so it really depends, but I try to keep a healthy balance of both because I honestly do go a little crazy when I'm not around people. Being a creator is so lonely. You don't have any coworkers. You don't have any like what is it called? Like water fountain chat or like whatever that's called. Water cooler moments. And that's something that I miss so much about working in an office.
Well, just to kind of riff off the question I asked before about working with brands, I am curious what advice you would have for, emerging or aspiring creators who want to get those brand deals that's not just being gifted product, but
Yeah.
actually those paid brand deals.
I would say for creators wanting to look for paid brand deals, it's to create content that the brand that you want to work with is already posting on their feed. I'm not saying copy and paste, I'm saying be their ideal creator. If the company that you want to work for posts and pays people to post a lot of like, let's say skincare swatches on the skin, really nice, like let's say sunlight. You don't want to come in with a black background and a ring light in your bathroom and talk about how much you love the product. It's not it's not enough to just love a product and talk about it online. It's about loving a product and showing that you can make that product look really good and that you can create content that makes that product look good. I think that is like the biggest hurdle to getting paid is to really refine your content in a way that even an unsponsored piece of content could be used by that brand, let's say if they wanted to put money behind it or repost it on their own page. You wanna make It's not enough to just love a product because brands always love when consumers love products. Brands are gonna love if your aunt with 21 followers is telling people to get this lip gloss. Doesn't mean that they're going to pay you to make a video with that lip gloss. It's a mix of the visual delivery of the content and a mix of your community looking to you as a North Star for whatever you do. I also think it's important to have a really strong personal voice. Not necessarily a personal brand, because I think a brand is different than a voice. When you have a voice that is trusted with your audience, brands are not just looking at the pretty content you have, they're also looking at how does your audience respond to cute selfies that you put up? What are people saying? Are they just saying you look hot or are they asking you, "Oh my god, what's on your lips?"
Yeah.
Are they saying, "Oh my god, how do you take photos like this?" Or are they saying, "Oh my god, I've been looking for a blue eyeliner just like that. Tell me it doesn't move." Like it's a really delicate balance, and the advice that I would give to creators looking to make money is ask yourself why. In my opinion, it's not enough for you to like one brand and only have goals of having that one brand pay you. Let's say your favorite brand is Rare Beauty and none of your content looks like makeup. You're probably not going to get Rare Beauty to invest in you because that's really what it is. It's an investment.
Yeah.
They don't know what your content is going to look like. They are trusting that you understand the brand vision. They are trusting that you're not going to need more than 3 rounds of editing. They are trusting that you're going to be on time. They're trusting that you're not going to badmouth the brand in the future. They are trusting you as an extension of their brand. And I think what's most valuable for brands that trust people is for those people to be who they are with or without that brand investing. Regardless of if a brand pays me or not, I'm going to be talking about makeup. I'm going to be fostering that community. It's going to be what I do no matter what. So I think brands almost like to, like when you see people double dutching in the park, they want to be part of success. They want to be part of something that's already moving. A brand is already trying to build itself up. They're not trying to like build up a creator. They want a creator that's already
Absolutely.
doing their own shit and they're like, "Okay, I'm going to jump in for a little bit." You already have, like a well-oiled machine going. Let's step in here since you already got your own thing. Cuz it's really they're basically paying for a placement on your feed. Just like regular media buying shit. So, you need to be able to speak for what you do and stand by the things that you create, whether or not it is paid or not. And I think that's a big difference between people looking for UGC and people looking for paid media is that when you're looking to get paid, you need to act like all of the content that you are putting out, you're already getting paid for. Like that's a type of execution you need to have on your page and like the level of excellence that you need to decide what is for yourself. I am not I don't post consistently, but I post good content consistently. I'm not gonna give you a half-ass video today and give you 4K tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like, whether I'm recording with my phone or with my camera, I am trying my best to give you like a mini masterclass in whatever I'm trying to explain to you. And I think because each individual piece of content that you can find of mine on the internet has like heart and soul and intention behind it, it's a no-brainer to a brand that if they're paying you, you are going to go above and beyond what you already do without even getting paid for it for
Yeah.
them, which I think is like the dream collaboration between a creator and a brand is for a brand to see potential in you and for you to over deliver what they already thought that you were going to create,
Yeah, that's so
which
good.
is the goal.
Yeah.
Like and why would you not want to I think the easy part is to make a really good video when you're making money off of it. The hard part is to care enough about your platforms, care enough about your audience, and see the long term of your career as a creator to want to elevate everything across the board to a level that you then set as your standard. And I think that's the difference between UGC creators and like paid media. For you with UGC, you might have a UGC post twice a week. With paid media, I might have a sponsor post once a month. And that means that all the other days that you're seeing me interact and put things on, I'm trying my hardest to give you good lighting. I'm trying my hardest to give you good communication. I'm trying my hardest to give you tips. I'm trying my hardest to supplement what I lack in, let's say, video quality with educational knowledge. Like, for example, the TikTok that I recorded today, because I couldn't do like speak it up in all stories. Let's say this TikTok won't serve as an educational TikTok, but I'll find some purpose for it to elevate it to make up for the fact that I'm not explaining to you everything that I'm using. Whether that's doing a voiceover about, I don't know, I also try to find ways to not just talk about content in a way that other creators will understand it, because I don't create for other creators. I create for non-creators. And so like I always think about, okay, it's a video of me doing my makeup and it's going quick and it's 60 seconds. I'm not just going to put a song over it and then just call it a day. What am I going to talk about? And this for this TikTok, I'm probably going to talk about how much I wanted to do a story. And my partner and I got into an argument that took a lot of hours to conflict resolve and I just didn't have it in me and this is what my content looks like today and that's okay.
Yeah, I love that.
Like, this is all I can give y'all, but look at this fucking look. Check out the deepfeed podcast. I'm gonna be on it in a couple, whatever. And like, this is what we got up to today.
Yeah.
And because I've already set the precedent with my audience of like, I'm not entitled to any of you, and you are not entitled to any of me. What you give me is whether it's through likes, comments, DMs, clicking on links for sponsored posts, responding to my polls, asking me Q&As, responding to my TikToks, going on my YouTube. None of those things are expected and none of those things are taken for granted. And I think because that's how I am with my audience, that's how they are with me, where they never expect me to share intimate details about my relationship with Jazz. But when I do, they're like, oh my God, this is so sweet to see. Thank you so much for showing me this. Like, thank you so
Yeah.
much for showing us this. Thank you so much for being comfortable with showing us this. Because I think I almost feel like the non-content creator wants to see a creator that takes the same kind of like approach with their own life of like, hey, this is what makes me real because you yourself are not telling your friends everything that's going on with your boyfriend. Your friends are not seeing every time you take a shower. Your friends are not seeing what you make for breakfast. Sometimes your friends might not care. Same with your audience. I don't expect it's never expected, it's always appreciated. And that's the type of relationship I hope for my audience to have with me as well, where they don't expect for me to just be laboring on social, but it's
Yeah.
nice when they get, a glimpse of what I'm going through, what my life is looking like, what jobs I'm doing.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Carol, thank you so much for sharing so much wisdom and also just being vulnerable with us too here at
Yeah.
deepfeed and so many nuggets of wisdom. So I
Oh my
really
gosh.
appreciate
So many chicken nuggets.
all the things, all the chicken nuggets.
All the chicken nuggets.
Yeah, thank you so
You're
much.
so welcome. This has been so fun. Definitely best podcast so far.
Really?
Yeah. No,
Nice.
seriously, I gotta tell you some horror stories.
Nice.